I want you to imagine holding the hand of the only person who ever truly loved you, watching the life drain from their eyes. And in that final, sacred moment, instead of hearing words of peace or love, you hear a command, a promise of pure, calculated, devastating revenge. My mother's final breath didn't release a prayer, it released an ultimatum. She looked straight into my soul, her eyes already glazing over, and whispered 7 words that tore my world apart. "Promise me, Eleanor. Get revenge on your brother." That promise became my burden, my mission, and the most agonizing moral dilemma of my life. I had to know what my twin brother, Julian, had done to deserve such hatred from the woman who gave birth to us both. And when I found the answer, it made the revenge inevitable. Before I reveal the shocking crime Julian committed against our mother and the public stage I chose for his ultimate downfall, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching us from? I need to know where my strongest listeners are. And if you believe that a deathbed promise must always be honored, no matter the cost, please hit that subscribe button right now to join our community. This is a story about the true cost of family betrayal. My name is Eleanor Vance. My twin brother is Julian Vance. We were born 5 minutes apart, but we lived in 2 different worlds created by my mother, Martha. Martha was a good woman, a registered nurse who had worked double shifts her entire life after our father abandoned us, simply to ensure we had a future. Yet, she was also tragically naive when it came to Julian. Julian was the classic golden child, charming, handsome, and utterly convinced of his own brilliance. I was the responsible one, the one who quietly managed the bills and kept the house from falling apart. My mother's health began to fail 2 years ago. It wasn't sudden, it was a slow, brutal decline due to a rare cardiac condition that required frequent, expensive medication and eventually, a complex life-saving surgery. She had spent 2 decades meticulously saving every penny into a segregated medical fund, a rainy day fund she swore would cover any major health crisis. Julian, meanwhile, was chasing his latest entrepreneurial fever dream, a highly volatile tech startup that, predictably, was bleeding cash. He was always asking Martha for small, temporary loans. She always gave them. I warned her repeatedly, "Mom, Julian will never pay you back. He's taking advantage of your love." She would just shake her head. "He's trying, Eleanor. He just needs a little boost. He's my son." The moment of truth arrived 5 months ago. Martha's condition deteriorated rapidly. The specialist told us, quite plainly, she needs that final, complex surgery immediately. Without it, she has maybe 6 weeks. I rushed to the bank, ready to withdraw the nearly $500,000 she had saved in her dedicated medical fund. But when I checked the account balance online, the numbers didn't make sense. The balance was not $480,000. It was $1,420. I felt the entire hospital room spin. My mother's life savings, her safety net, her only chance at survival, gone. I confronted Julian in the hospital parking lot. He was leaning against his brand new, expensive sports car, a purchase he had made just 3 months prior. "Julian, where is the money? The medical fund is empty. Mom needs the surgery." He didn't flinch. He just sighed, rolling his eyes as if I were being overdramatic. "Look, I borrowed it, okay? It was an investment. The startup needed seed capital, and I just transferred it quickly. It was a temporary liquid asset reallocation. I was going to pay it back with 20% interest next quarter." "Next quarter?" I screamed, my voice cracking with disbelief. "Mom is dying this quarter, Julian. You spent her life savings on your ego. You bought that stupid car while she was rationing her medication." He dismissed my anger with cold arrogance, pulling out his expensive keys. "Stop being so dramatic, Eleanor. I'll get the money. Just focus on your job, and let me handle the real finances." He drove away, leaving me trembling in the parking lot with the cold, absolute certainty that my brother had just signed our mother's death certificate. My mother died 5 weeks later. Not because the surgery failed, but because we couldn't schedule it. We couldn't raise the funds in time. Every day of those 5 weeks was an agonizing, slow torture. I never told her the exact truth. I only told her there was a delay with the bank. But deep down, I believe she knew. A mother always knows. On her final afternoon, I sat by her bedside. Julian was conspicuously absent. He was attending a crucial investment meeting. Martha's breathing was shallow, labored. She grabbed my hand with a surprising burst of strength. Her eyes, filled with a clarity I hadn't seen in months, locked onto mine. She didn't ask for a priest. She didn't talk about heaven. She whispered, her voice a dry, rasping sound, the papers, safe deposit box, the statement. He stole it all, Eleanor. He killed me. Promise me, darling. Promise me you will get revenge on your brother. Don't let him enjoy a penny of it. Don't let him win. I squeezed her fragile hand, tears pouring down my face. The weight of that promise felt heavier than her entire life. I promise, Mom. I promise I will get justice for you. She closed her eyes then, a faint, almost satisfied look crossing her features. She died 20 minutes later. The first step was retrieving the papers. The safe deposit box contained more than just the final bank statement showing the withdrawal. It contained Martha's final, legal will. Her entire estate, the small but paid-off family home, her pension, her final life insurance policy, was entirely bequeathed to me. Julian was left exactly $1 and a handwritten, scathing letter detailing his betrayal. My mother had known exactly what she was doing. But simple eviction or a lawsuit wasn't enough. Julian wasn't just a thief. He was a murderer who walked free and drove a sports car. I had promised my mother that I wouldn't let him enjoy a single penny of his ill-gotten gains. I needed to wait for the perfect moment. The moment of his ultimate, arrogant victory. The moment when his downfall would be the most public, the most humiliating, and the most financially devastating. That moment came 6 months later. Julian's luck, fueled by my mother's stolen life savings, finally changed. His startup received a massive second round of funding. He wasn't just successful, he was the face of the future in our city's tech scene. He announced his engagement to a beautiful, wealthy socialite named Victoria and planned a huge, lavish engagement party at the most exclusive hotel ballroom in the city, a place where every single investor, rival, and media personality would be present. This was my stage. I bought an expensive, custom-made dress. I spent days practicing the perfect, cold smile. I arrived at the ballroom early, not as a guest, but armed with the ultimate weapon, a small, locked metal briefcase containing the final will, the bank statement, and a police report detailing the fraudulent withdrawal that had been meticulously compiled by a private investigator I secretly hired. The ballroom was packed. Julian stood on the stage, beaming under the spotlights, Victoria clinging to his arm, the picture of success. He began his toast, his voice loud with self-congratulation. Tonight, we celebrate not just love, but the triumph of vision. I want to thank the few people who believed in me, who saw my potential. As he raised his glass, I walked swiftly up to the stage, my movements fluid and determined. His security detail was slow to react. They knew me as his sister. I reached the podium just as Julian was about to drink. "Wait," I commanded, my voice cutting through the applause like shattered glass. "I have a message from the person who believed in you the most." Julian's face went white. "Eleanor? What the hell are you doing? Get off the stage." I ignored him. I opened the briefcase and pulled out the enlarged, final bank statement. I held it up for the entire ballroom to see. Julian claims he succeeded on his own vision. But the truth is, the only investor who made his success possible was our mother, Martha Vance. I paused for the maximum dramatic effect. The room was utterly silent. She invested $480,000 of her life savings, her medical fund, into his vision. She died 5 weeks later because she couldn't afford a life-saving surgery. She died because her son stole her life to buy his new life. I then produced the final will. My mother's last wish was that he receive justice. The final will left Julian exactly $1 and the undeniable proof that he committed elder financial abuse, which directly led to her death. I placed the evidence on the podium. The guests, including Victoria's stunned, wealthy family, began whispering loudly. Julian lunged at me, his face contorted in a mask of pure, murderous rage. "You lying bitch. I'll ruin you." But Mark's private security, whom I had borrowed from a contact, stepped forward and restrained Julian. I calmly turned to the crowd, my eyes scanning every shocked face. This man standing here is not a visionary. He is a thief and a murderer. I honored my mother's last wish. This is your toast, Julian. The ensuing chaos was catastrophic. Victoria threw her engagement ring at him and stormed off. Investors began furiously calling their lawyers. The police, whom I had discreetly called minutes before, walked in and placed Julian under arrest for financial fraud and abuse of the elderly. I watched him being led away in handcuffs, his expensive suit rumpled, his dreams of grandeur shattered forever. The memory of my mother's final, desperate whisper echoed in my heart. Don't let him win. I hadn't let him win. I had fulfilled the hardest, most necessary promise of my life. The price of justice was my peace, but the reward was honoring her memory. Tell me in the comments, was I right to expose my brother at his moment of triumph? Or should I have forgiven him? And if you believe I honored my mother's final, sacred vow, please make sure to like the video and share it with a friend who understands the meaning of true justice. Thank you for listening to my truth.